everyone, Sarah from Tarot by Peachy here. I hope you are all well. Welcome to the March month ahead readings. Now this is the first month ahead readings I've done for YouTube. I usually only offer these privately for clients. So this is the more kind of collective message. I've not done one of these before, so let's see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. Let me know what you think in the comments of the message that you get, and of course hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss if I do any more of these in future. I'm going to be using my Lunar Eclipse Tarot, and I'm going to be using my Arcana of Astrology. This will help me see what sign that we're reading for, so I'll keep that here on screen so that you can see easily what sign the message is for, and these will be the tarot cards that I'm using today. With these readings, I always recommend listen to the message for your big three. Start with your rising sign, then listen to your sun sign and your moon sign. If you don't know your big three, if you only know your sun sign, more commonly known as your star sign, you know, the sign that you'll read usually in horoscopes and magazines, etc., then just listen to the message for that. And please feel free to ask me any questions about astrology in the comments if there's anything that you're not sure of. So let's get started. Have a little look at what sign we're reading for first, and then I'm just going to pop these out of the way so I've got a bit more room for my cards. So we're going to start with, Capricorn. Of course, I picked my own sun sign first. So let's see what is coming in for Capricorn in the month of March. Now this is a collective message, which means it might not resonate for you personally. This is more aimed at Capricorns overall. Some parts might click for you and other parts might not. Where they don't resonate, don't try and force it to fit in somewhere in your life. Just listen to the message, take what clicks, and then leave the rest aside. If you do want to have a reading that is a bit more personal to you, then I would recommend checking out my website, tarotbypeachy.com, where you can actually book a personal month ahead reading. Right, let's get started with Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn, so this is a 3-card reading. We're going to look at the energy that you are leaving behind in February, what energy is possible for you in March, and then just something that you need to pay a bit more attention to in the month ahead. So let's have a look first of all at the energy that you are leaving behind. So I've got the 9 of Swords, and I'm glad to see, Capricorn, that you are leaving that behind. The 9 of Swords is a card of real anxiety. It's a card of real worry. This is literally stuff keeping you awake at night. So whatever kind of mental battles that you've been facing over February, whether they are big or small, it can be something that is an absolute, trivia to someone else, but it's a big deal to you. It feels like that is subsiding. The things that are worrying you, as I say, the things that might be keeping you awake literally at night, it feels like that power over you is starting to subside. What I will say is, if you still feel like this energy lingers for you into the first few days of March, a conversation might help unblock it for you. So don't feel like you need to hold all of this to yourself, which is a typical Capricorn trait. A small conversation with a friend, a family member, or even just an inspiring conversation with an acquaintance or someone that you don't know very well could unblock all of this kind of worry for you. The key is definitely in conversation. Let's have a look then at what's new for you, or what is possible in March. And we have the Ace of Pentacles connecting to an opportunity for you financially and securely. So it feels like there is this new beginning for you. This could be things like a job offer, a little influx of cash somewhere, which is always welcome. Or it could just be news that leads to a bit more security for you. So something that helps you feel a little bit more grounded, helps you feel a little bit more safe, but it's definitely some new energy in your life. And then this little card here is just something under the surface, something that you need to be a little bit more aware of. And we've got the Tower. I actually think when I picked that up, it came out in its reversed position, and I've placed it down a funny way. So I'm going to read it reversed because I'm pretty sure that is how it appeared. This tells me that there are some structural changes going on in your life, probably started somewhere mid-February, and it's definitely continuing into March. And the reason that this is still lingering and still continuing is because you are not addressing it. These are some structural changes that need to happen. They're going to interrupt your daily routine. They may interrupt your family or home life, but it's really, really important that you allow these changes to happen and stop maybe putting them to the back of your mind. Address them. It's time for you to stop kind of thinking, I'll deal with that when it becomes bad enough. It's like, let's deal with it now. It's bad enough now. So whatever these kind of changes are that you might be ignoring, Capricorn, it's really, really important that you allow those changes to happen. Okay, next up we have Gemini. Let's take a little look at your month ahead reading, Gemini. So I'm going to start with this card here, which is the energy that you are leaving behind in February. I can see that you've had to ask a lot of questions in February, so loads of questioning, loads of maybe feeling like you're not the expert on a certain situation and having to rely on other people. I'm definitely seeing a lot of communication, particularly email exchanges for some reason. It feels like there's definitely some kind of area of your life where there's a lot of to and fro going on, and it feels like you're constantly chasing up some information. Might sound really kind of low level, but it could just be that it's been something that's been taking up a lot of your time, taking up a lot of your energy. It feels like you might start to get the answers that you've been looking for as we step into March. In terms of what energy is coming in for you, so I've got the Four of Wands reversed. You might feel a little bit insecure. Now when I say insecure, it could be coming from the fact that you are not spending enough time with your people. You might be a little bit withdrawn and just kind of feeling a little bit like, where do I fit in here? I can't quite pinpoint what it is. This could actually be both of these. Could be connecting to the workplace for some reason. I seem to pick up that vibe, but you know, it could fit in elsewhere in your life. But there's just this feeling of feeling a little bit withdrawn, a little bit cut off from the people that we'd usually spend time with, whether that's friends, family, colleagues. And that's starting to make you feel a little bit unsafe in the sense that you just feel a little bit like, who's my sounding board? Who do I go talk to? Who do I celebrate my wins with? You know, who do I confide my tears in? It's that kind of vibe. You just feel a little bit kind of, you know, wobbly, I guess is the best way to put it. I had two cards for you in terms of what you need to be a bit more aware of. So I've got the King of Swords and I've got the World. There is an ending coming for you. Now, that sounds really dramatic, maybe the way I worded it. Some kind of chapter is closing in your life, and perhaps you're thinking about it all wrong. You might be dreading it a little bit. You might be kind of thinking, that's going to be the worst thing that could possibly happen to me. But it's not. It's actually a really positive end of the book, like end of story, close that chapter and move on with things. So you're being invited just to step back a little bit from it, think a little bit more logically about it, analyse this situation beyond the surface level, and actually you'll see that this is about a triumph for you. This is about success. It is not about something coming to an end and it's sad and it's going to be disastrous for you. It's actually really positive, and it'll throw you into a spotlight that perhaps you've been needing for a long time. There's definitely recognition attached to this. So be mindful of that. If there is something that you're kind of dreading, some kind of end of a chapter in your life that you're thinking, I don't want that to happen, it's going to be so embarrassing, it's going to be awful, it's actually going to go so much better than you think. You just need to kind of step back and apply a little bit of logic to the situation. You might be thinking about it a little bit too emotionally. Okay, next up we are reading for Taurus. So Taurus, we are going to look at what energy are you leaving behind in February. I keep going to say March, I'm all muddled up with my dates. What energy is possible for you in March, and then something that you need to be a bit more aware of. So let's have a look at what you leave behind in February. Okay, so conflicts. Specifically, I'm hearing conflicts of interest. I don't know why or where that might be applicable for you, Taurus, but have a little think about where in your life, gosh, I keep elbowing my ring light, apologies. Have a little think in your life where you feel like there is a lot of kind of different opinions in the room, whether that's in your own head or specifically amongst your group of friends or family. There's a lot of kind of argumentative disagreements going on. That is going to subside as we step into a new month. I do always think with this card there's lessons to be learned though. Perhaps you could have used this conflict energy a little bit better to do a little bit of alchemy in your life, I guess, and make a kind of a blended solution, something that takes everyone's opinions into consideration, and uses the conflict to sort of move the story forward a little bit. So perhaps you've not been very good at doing that over February, and I definitely think as we step into March, that's something that you can bear in mind. If this situation arises again, how could you personally deal with it a little bit better? As we step into March, something that is possible for you, I've got the moon. This tells me that there is going to be some information that illuminates for you in March. Be careful though, as you start to see this information, and I think it probably connects to this Five of Wands, this conflict that was going on. It could be some answers that you've been looking for in all of this kind of confusion and different voices in the room. But it's not the full story yet, so be patient. The moon, if you think about the light that it casts on the world, it's not as bright as sunlight, so we don't see everything in detail. What we do see is the outline of things and the shadow of things. We don't quite see the full shapes. So just be mindful. You will start to see a little bit more information that might clear up whatever this situation is. It's not the full picture yet, and I would probably be patient before I start to act on anything. Lastly, I'm going to have a little look at what you should be more aware of. And I had two cards for you here, and both of these are telling me, if I pop these up so you can see them a bit better, both of these are telling me you need to focus on fulfillment in your life right now. What is it that you are actually aiming for? When you think about what makes me happy, or how do I connect to what makes me happy, there is a message for you to try and think about it a little bit differently. I think you're getting a little bit muddled in the sense of what some people expect of you. And it's really, really important for you to actually step back, look at things a little bit differently, and it might help you sort of connect to your own happiness, your own sense of fulfillment beyond what other people expect. And perhaps that's what this Five of Wands is alluding to as well. We are sticking with the air signs, and next up we have Virgo. So Virgo, what you are leaving behind as we leave February. Two of Swords. So I'm seeing there's a bit of kind of self-doubt, possibly some anxiety, overthinking, typical Virgo, when it comes to sort of decision that you need to make in order to move forward in a certain area of your life. So I'm really glad to see that that is the energy that is subsiding for you as we leave February. You've probably been sitting on this decision for far too long. And I guess what you just need to be cautious of is that you haven't maybe let some opportunities pass you by because you've spent too long sitting on the fence. For what's coming in for you in March, I've got the Ace of Swords. Now this tells a really nice story because the Ace of Swords indicates to me that there is mental clarity coming in, some kind of breakthrough. Finally, you're going to have either a little bit more information that you've been needing, and perhaps that's going to help you make that decision that you've kind of been sitting going, I don't know what to do. So there's a bit more kind of understanding, a bit more clarity coming in for you in March around whatever this issue is. And then finally, just what you need to be a little bit more aware of. Got the Queen of Swords, all the swords for you. This is about, again, it's not telling you to totally disengage your brain. You do need to apply a little bit of logic in this situation, but there's a balance for you here. There's a little bit of, you need to listen to your head and your heart and then decide, you know, what is the right decision to make. Now I hate using the phrase the right decision, because in life I don't think there are right and wrongs per se, and when it comes to decisions there's just the decision, and how it pans out is how it's going to pan out. But I think it's definitely some kind of option that is probably better for you overall, and that might become clear for you in March. And you need to kind of balance that head and heart, because your heart might be telling you one thing and your head might be telling you another, and it's up to you to decipher, you know, what is right. What is the balance between the two? How can I listen to my heart that's given me the kind of compassionate feelings answer, but how can I balance that with what my head, the logical and sensible, analytical, based on past experiences possibly. You know, how can I balance those two energies when it comes to this? Feels overall quite positive for Virgo in March though. You just need to wait for that kind of breakthrough, that information coming in to help you start to make that decision you've been sitting on for a while. Alrighty, next up we've got Sagittarius. This is the first fire sign that I've pulled some cards for. So let's have a little look at the energy that Sagittarius is leaving behind in February. We've got the Hermit for you, Sagittarius. This is telling me that over February, you've maybe not quite felt yourself. You've maybe been a bit more withdrawn, spending a little bit more time at home, maybe not doing the whole travelling as much that you would like to do, maybe not connecting as much with your friends, family, etc. So it feels like you've spent a little bit of time over the last month just to kind of check in with yourself, whether that's been intentional or not. You've just been a little bit more kind of closed off from people, and that's going to start to subside as we step into March. So it might be that there's a bit more kind of social plans on the table, or more activities that are going to force you out the house or encourage you to travel a little bit further than home anyway. As we step into March, I've got the Four of Cups for you, shown in its reversed position. So this is telling me that in March you might feel a little bit kind of dissatisfied and a little bit restless with your life. Perhaps, you know, this kind of period of reflection where you've not been so social, not been so active, been at home a little bit more. It's got you kind of thinking, like, what more could I be doing in life? You know, what else can I go after? The advice that I want to give you there is make sure that you are not missing the obvious in your life right now. There could be some things that you actually need to focus on and work on right now, as opposed to starting some kind of new project or, you know, chasing after something new. It's time for you to kind of nurture the things that are happening for you right now and try and improve those, as opposed to starting to think about, you know, oh, I'm just going to start this whole new thing and starting to kind of spread your energy across various different things when nothing is kind of in a complete state. And then finally, I'm just going to have a little look at some guidance for you, and I have the Magician. This is a reminder that you alone are responsible for yourself. You alone are accountable for yourself. You are in control of your own life. Perhaps with this energy where you're starting to think about something new because you've not finished something else, you're possibly blaming other people, and actually the Magician is there to say, listen, you're actually in charge of this. Everything that is happening around you, you have manifested it. All of your actions have made this happen. So there's a little bit of a message of accountability for Sagittarius. You can't step back and just drop something because you think, well, that's as far as I could take it. Actually, you could take it a little bit further. It's perhaps that you are choosing not to tap into the power that you've got in that situation, and perhaps pass the blame on to other people. So you are in charge where I see the Magician. Don't forget the power that you've got to create the life that you want. Next up we have Cancer, my little opposite sign, the little water babies that you are. Shout out to one of my favourite Cancer people, Sarah, if you are watching. Sarah at Blissful Moon Co. Usually you'll spot little crystals around my table, and most of them are usually from Sarah. So shout out to you if you're watching. Let's have a little look at what is being left behind for Cancer in February. If I can pick the card up. So I've got the Three of Pentacles shown in its reverse position for you, Cancer. So I can see that there's some frustrations around your work life, or, you know, if you are someone who works for yourself, you know, frustrations around your own business. For some of you who maybe don't have a regular source of income, or a sense of, a kind of a regular job, any kind of frustrations around how you work, how you earn money, this is all subsiding, this is all coming to an end in February. So if there's kind of energy where you felt a little bit blocked in your career field or your business field, or in your career search, it feels like you're stepping away from that as we head into March. What's new for you in March is Justice, again shown in its reversed position. So video is not upside down, guys. The cards are just genuinely coming out that way. It may be connected to legal matters. Literally, I quite often see that with the Justice card. things may not work out in your favour when it comes to sort of any legal matters. And it also can just be that there's some tough decisions for you to make that ultimately are going to feel quite unfair, either on yourself or other people. With the Justice card reversed, I do give the advice that you maybe need to put yourself a little bit more first in the month of March. You are generally a sign that will tend to nurture the other people around you. And it feels like in March that might not serve you so well, because something is going to feel really unfair for you. Some kind of decision is going to make you feel a little bit like, why did that happen to me? That's not fair. So be conscious of that. I think you need to kind of put yourself first a little bit more in March and stop trying to please everyone else and nurture everyone else. It's important that you are number one priority for yourself. Just for some guidance of what you need to be a bit more aware of, I've got two cards, the Empress and the King of Pentacles. Things might feel tough in March, but this is telling me there's a payoff for you. These two cards are telling me once you go through this, whatever it might feel like in terms of it feeling really unjust, really unfair, there is abundance at the end of this month. This is to do with growth that has been happening for a long time, perhaps under the surface, perhaps you've not been aware of it. You probably have been, though. Something you have been nurturing for a little while is going to pay off at the end of March. The King of Pentacles is giving me long-term security vibe, so this feels like something that you have been brewing up for a little while. You're going to start to see the results of that at the end of March. So just hang in there. Although it does feel a little bit tough this month, there is definitely a payoff coming in. Alrighty, on to Scorpio. This message is for you, Scorpio. Let's have a little look at the energy you are leaving behind in February and the energy that's coming up for you in March, along with some advice. So the Ten of Cups, seeing this as the card that you're leaving behind, might feel a little bit uncomfortable, because this is telling me that generally kind of feelings of bliss, feelings of happiness, feeling a little bit on top of the world and like everything is in order, and that you feel really fulfilled and happy. That's kind of subsiding. So February has probably been quite a good month for you. You've probably felt quite safe, quite secure, quite fulfilled with life, and it feels like perhaps with this coming to an end, March is possibly going to offer a bit of disruption in your life. Let's have a look. Okay, so it just feels like perhaps any sort of disruption that might come in is going to catch you off guard a little bit. The Eight of Wands is very fast moving energy, so there could be just some unexpected energy coming into your life, something that you've not prepared for. This for me feels really slow, that everything's been quite comfortable for you over February. Nothing's really challenged you. But one thing to bear in mind is that when things do come in that challenge you, when this fast moving energy comes in and you need to try and pick up and keep up with it, you know, when you're challenged, that's when you grow. So try not to see it as too much of a negative. I just see that in March you're probably going to be pushed out your comfort zone a little bit. You might be working a little bit harder. Things just might feel a little bit more, you know, quick and snappy, you know, one thing after another that you need to kind of keep on top of, but you'll get there. So just hang in there. The guidance for you underneath here, I've got the Four of Cups and the Six of Swords reversed. This tells me that this is not a long-term theme in your life. It's going to be something quite temporary, so just work with it. Do what you can here. Don't stress about it. It's not going to be going on forever. This card has been a little bit cheeky to you. It's kind of saying you get over it a little bit. Let's just kind of move on from it. Once it's done, it's done. Just roll with it as it happens. You can only do what you can do. And the Four of Cups is just a little reminder to you, in all of this chaos, it's probably quite important that you don't get a little bit disengaged with your life and start to feel ungrateful for all of the stuff that is already offered to you, because that may stop you from seeing new opportunities coming in. It may stop you from actually seeing solutions to any kind of problems that are coming up for you. So there's a little bit of, you know, get over it. Whatever this disruption is, needs to happen. It's there to challenge you and help you grow. And don't try and get a little bit, or sorry, I shouldn't say don't try, try not to get a little bit disgruntled with your life, because it feels like all of this disruption has come in to sort of spoil your nice comfy position that you were sitting in February. Libra, we are coming to you next. Let's have a look at energy you leave behind in February, what's coming up for you in March, and just some guidance for you, Libra. I am going to start right here with what you're leaving behind in February. I got 2 cards for this. Ooh, and I've got the Emperor and I've got Temperance. Isn't it funny, we've got the Emperor and then we've got this little kind of butterfly character here, like an emperor butterfly. I don't know if there's any kind of hidden meaning in that. Feel free to read into that what you wish. But it feels like in February you've had to be very much top of your game. I want to say you've had to be running the show, you've had to be pushing things forward, you've really had to be the kind of driving force and making things happen. Emperor energy is Aries energy. They are the leaders of the zodiac, so they are constantly the ones that are pushing things and making sure that things go to plan. And that's required a little bit of balance. You've had to kind of use a mixture of energy from different sections of your life or different people in your life. There's been a little bit of a juggling act going on. Perhaps you've been trying to sort of blend your work life with your home life and trying to kind of push things forward in that field. Or it could just be that you've had other obligations that you need to mix with different things in order to get a result. So it feels like February has been quite a busy month for Libra. You've just been trying to make it all happen, so to speak, and just trying to keep everything balanced. The Four of Swords shows in its reverse position for what's coming for you in March, Libra, and this is telling me that there is still more activity to come. This might have been a bit of a kind of planning period, but I think it is more action when I'm thinking about it. So there has been a lot of kind of work or planning going on over February, and it feels like March is continuing that energy. It's like action driven. It's you can't stop now. You just kind of need to keep going. Don't quit. It's not time to kind of put down your swords yet, so to speak. You still need to keep this work up. So what I'm getting pretty much is whatever has been happening for you in February, it's a bit of a continuation into the month of March, so hang in there. For the advice that you need to hear or something you need to be a bit more aware of, well, look at that. We've got Justice the Scales, which obviously represents your sign in the tarot deck. I love that. This card is just there to say you got this. This is what you do. You are naturally someone who is gifted with being able to balance things. You are able to see both sides of situations. Just work with it. You'll be able to sort of find a middle ground. As long as you kind of try and keep yourself grounded, don't let everything kind of sweep you up and feel a little bit hectic. You can find this balance. Hey Aries, you are up next. We of course step into your season this month. So on the 20th of March, the sun enters your sign. Let's have a little look at what you're leaving behind in February and what's coming up for you in March. So in terms of the energy that you are leaving behind, I can see, Aries, that you've not quite been certain about something over the course of February. There's been a lot of discourse about a certain situation. You've maybe had to be seeking out a lot of information, asking a lot of questions. There's been a lot for you to take in and a lot for you to learn over this month. It doesn't feel negative. It just feels like it might have been quite a exhausting time because you're trying to kind of find out all the information that you need for the next stage of a plan that you're looking to get in place. As we step into March, ooh, we've got the Seven of Wands. Okay, so when I'm seeing this card here, where I'm saying that you are asking for information, trying to find out the answers to things, asking a lot of questions, feels like it's all coming back to you in March. So hang in there because it might feel really, really intense. Wands are always about fast energy and it feels like it's all kind of going to be directed to you at once. So you might get a bit of information overload as March comes in because everything that you've been trying to kind of balance, everything that you've been trying to find out more information about, it's all going to come back at the one time and you're maybe going to feel a little bit like, oh my god, I am not ready for this, like what the hell do I do here? So hang in there. It might just feel a little bit wild in March, but don't worry, you've got this. In terms of the advice that you need to hear, I have the Queen of Pentacles coming in for you. She is telling me that you're going to enter into a period of not only feeling a little bit more secure, a little bit more grounded in yourself once you get through this initial kind of panic, but also just generally feeling a little bit more like you can turn some attention on yourself, that you can take the energy that you've generally been putting out to other things, and by the end of March you'll be in a position where you can turn that energy in on yourself, start to focus on yourself a little bit more. And now we are looking at Pisces. We are currently in Pisces season, obviously, but towards the end of March the sun will leave Pisces and enter the fiery sign of Aries. So Pisces, what you are leaving behind in February, I've got the King of Swords there. Feels like you've maybe been in a little bit of a daydream, head in the clouds, not thinking logically, and maybe being a little bit, I don't want to say ignorant, but it's the only word I can think of right now. But just not paying your full attention to a certain situation, perhaps willfully, like just choosing to ignore things that really do need your attention. For some reason, you've just been kind of floating around and it's all right, I don't need to think about it right now land. And it feels like, February is sort of saying, as this month ends, you're going to have to start thinking a little bit more logically again, so get your head out of the clouds. As we move into March, I've got the Empress reversed for you. This is a journey of self-growth that I'm seeing. You might feel that in your outer life, in your outer world, things aren't really happening for you, nothing's really developing, there's no signs of growth around you. And so you're being invited to sort of turn some attention onto yourself then. So, what do I need to learn? What skills do I need to develop? What parts of myself do I need to nurture in order for me to start to unlock things and make some progress? So perhaps, as I said, you've been in this kind of dream state of not addressing some things, and you might see the results of that in March, where things aren't kind of panning out as you would hope they would. You may have a kind of financial setback, so just be wary of that. The Empress is connected to the planet of Venus, and Venus is about love and money. So just be wary that there could be some kind of financial implications of you floating around and not paying attention to the details. I don't think it's a major setback, but I do think that you have this opportunity to just refocus your mind a little bit and make sure that you are switched on when it comes to these things. And then lastly, got the card of the Knight of Wands for you as advice. Don't be too hasty, is the advice that I'm going to give you there. So don't think that, oh my God, I need to fix this, and go chasing after a solution without thinking it through. Again, it's this balance of trying to find your logical mind and getting back in touch with that. Thinking things through logically is going to be really important for you in the month ahead. Okay, time for Aquarius's message. So Aquarius, here's what you're leaving behind in February. Been a lot of anxiety for Aquarians for some reason, a lot of deep thinking, lack of clarity on how to move forward in certain situations. And I think Aquarius, over February, you've possibly forgot that you very much have the ability to find a path forward. Perhaps you've been listening to too many intrusive thoughts, too many other people's opinions, that you've sort of blocked out your own thoughts and your own intuition. I'm really glad to see that this is the energy that you are leaving behind as we step into a new month. For the energy that's possible for you, I've got the World reversed. It's telling me a little bit of there's still something to happen here. This story for you isn't closed. The chapter is very much still open, so there's still some lessons to be learned, some patterns that you possibly need to identify and break as you step into March. I'm seeing this kind of repeated pattern for you. So there's still, as I say, some sort of lesson that you need to learn in this situation. And sadly, that feeling of frustration and maybe not being quite clear, or maybe being quite doubtful about the path forward, is going to continue for you into the next month. So hang in there, Aquarius. The advice that I've got for you comes in the Fool reversed, and it's these two cards are basically bookends in a way. One of them starts the major arcana of tarot and one of them ends them. This card is saying it's not quite time yet for you to start down a new path, because you've, as I said, there's something that you've not addressed. I definitely think March is a period for you to work out what kind of things is it that you are not hearing, what messages from your intuition, messages from the universe, what lessons are you not learning, what are you not listening to. I think it's really, really important before you start down a new path that you kind of close the book on the path that you're on just now. There's a little bit of dotting the I's and crossing the T's to be done for Aquarius in the month of March. And last but by no means least, the absolute showstopper of the zodiac, it is Leo. Thanks for hanging in there, Leo, if you've watched all the other signs, but hopefully you've maybe fast forwarded because I know that you're an impatient bunch. Let's have a little look at the energy that you leave behind as we leave February. Okay, so I can see that mentally you are struggling or have been struggling over February to sort of move on from something, that your thinking just keeps going over a certain pattern. It could be physically as well. Some of you might have been trying to move from one location to another, so moving houses and experience some disruption in that. Or some of you may have been trying to leave unfulfilling jobs behind and been struggling to kind of make that leap. It feels like this inability to break any kind of mental patterns that are stopping you from moving forward. That energy is leaving you as we leave February, so that is a positive. Let's have a little look at March. Ooh, okay, so there's a bit of a theme here. This tells me that although mentally in February you weren't quite in the right headspace to sort of move on from something mentally, as we step into March, your emotions start to come into play now. So it feels like this story isn't quite finished for you, because now your heart's at play, and it's not sure if it wants to leave this situation behind. You know, you're feeling a little bit tied to it. You're not quite comfortable in moving on yet. This, as I said, could be a job, it could be a relationship, it could be a home. There's definitely, I think, a message of, all right, by the time we get to March, you're mentally over it, but you're not quite emotionally over it. Be patient with yourself. I feel like this is probably quite a big transition in your life, and it's important that you just kind of work with how your emotions are feeling. Like, don't shame yourself for feeling how you feel or thinking how you think. Just go with it. Try and be a little bit more gentle. And the advice that I've got for you is the Tower. The Tower is definitely echoing this. There is some structural change coming in for you, and I can see that now. You probably are feeling it's a kind of slow burn, so you know, mentally you're trying to move away from it, emotionally you're trying to move away from it, you're trying to embrace whatever the new is, work with it. It's ultimately going to be right for you when you get there in the end. This change, this maybe disruption and destruction that's happening for you, as difficult as it is to deal with and move with, it's building something much, much better for you as we move ahead into the year. So it may feel chaotic, but trust me, once you start to feel like you're on the mend and moving in the right direction, it will definitely be worth it, Leo. Okay, so that is us. We have got through all 12 of the zodiac signs. Thank you so much if you have listened to the full video. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you appreciated it. If not, and you just fast forwarded to your sign, then I hope you enjoyed the message that you got. Hopefully I'll do more of these in future, so make sure that you have hit the subscribe button so that you do actually see those videos when I post them. And remember, if you do want to get something that's a bit more personal and a bit more specific, you can book a more personal month ahead reading if you head to my website, and the details for that are in the description.